Hey guys, Taeian here, Taeian.com. I want to talk about a pretty big bodybuilding myth in the bodybuilding and steroid using community today, which is that using anabolic steroids will shut down your natural hormone production and there is nothing you can do to prevent it. Now, this is a pretty big issue in guys that are curious about using anabolic steroids. And one of their main concerns is that they're going to be shut down and they're scared that they are never going to recover their hormone production and require HRT for the rest of their life, or that their production just won't recover to what it once was. You know, whether it's 70% of what it was, 50%, they don't want to live the rest of their life having used one cycle, and that, they are lesser they have lesser testosterone production than they once did, especially if they don't plan to stay on for life. And like many of you know, most people who start out in this, they don't plan to stay on for life. They're thinking, oh, it's just a cycle or two, even though most end up, being lifers in this area. Most people start out, they don't, that's not in their mind. They're thinking they're just going to do a cycle or two and they want to have their own natural hormone production afterwards. They want to be able to be fully normal and where they once were afterwards. So yeah, I would say that's probably one of the biggest things that I personally see that scares people away from using anabolic steroids. They're going to take something once or twice and they don't know, and they're scared that they will be shut down the rest of their lives. So they want to at all costs avoid shutting themselves down, right? Um, so specifically with this video, that's exactly what we're going to look at here is studies um, proving this myth that no matter what, you're going to get shut down. The issue here is that a big issue in the bodybuilding and steroid community actually is that when something isn't proven to have happened or be proven to be correct or whatever, it's always the opposite. It's at its fault. So if this hasn't been proven to be true, it is then false instead of being unknown, which is a silly way to look at things. Just because it hasn't been studied or you may have not have seen those studies, it doesn't automatically equal that it's false, right? It's unknown to you and possibly unknown to everybody. This is one of those cases. This is studies that I've never seen people tout, and it's something that I'll use with clients too. That when they want to avoid shutdown, well, here's a way you can avoid it. So yeah, so basically the studies that we have, it's with Clomid, and what it basically shows. What's really great about this is that it wasn't just testosterone. It was testosterone plus multiple other items, and it wasn't just TRT doses. Because, if it's something on TRT doses, you could easily say, okay, this might not work for non-TRT purposes. Who's to say that 200 milligrams would cause the Clomid, which is what was used in the study, to not work? So that's the great thing about this study, is that they had testosterone and then also estrogen, which they primarily point out in one of the studies that estrogen was the primary driver to cause the shutdown that we see with anabolic steroids. And a big reason why we will see more so specifically the DHT, the strictly androgenic steroids, cause very little to no suppression depending on the studies we look at. So yeah, they use not just testosterone, but double the dose of testosterone, and same with estrogen, and they could still not cause shutdown of the natural hormone production in the participants. And not just that, but they also stretch it out further, and they used DHT, which we already have some studies on that, and then they use Halo as well. So what the studies are showing us, and it's not just one, is that double the doses of of testosterone, of estrogen, in items that are not strictly items that you don't normally produce, like Halo, could not cause shutdown of LH, FSH, and GnRH. So it basically throws out the whole window that, no matter what you do, you're going to get shut down. And this doesn't just apply to TRT. Like I said, if you want to run multiple different items, you want to run double the dose, this study is fully proof that you will be safe. Who's to say that maybe you're running a gram of testosterone that this might not work? That's a possibility. We can't say that is that this is foolproof there. But given the mechanisms that we know how Clomid works or SERMs work, and given that we know how anabolic steroids cause shutdown, it's likely safe to say that a good dose of anabolics, that this would still work. And if you're that afraid of it, you simply run a low dose, and that this will work for you. Another thing I wanted to touch on was that bodybuilders getting their wives pregnant, or steroid users. This is a big thing we see in the community. People be on cycle and their wives get pregnant. And as we know with anabolic steroids, especially a certain compounds will cause worse shutdown than others. And given the dosages that we use, one of the big reasons likely that'll explain how our steroid users getting their wives pregnant still is a good reason that could be is the bodybuilders that are using SERMs on cycle to control gyno or help prevent the onset of gyno. Even though a lot of users will just stick to AIs today, a lot still prefer Clomid and Nova because they feel an AI doesn't do as well of a job for them. So that's likely a big reason why we see a lot of users get their wives pregnant, I would say, because it's also likely, again, this isn't in a study, but it's also likely if you're using a proper enough dose of an AI that it might have a similar effect to the SERMs. Again, it's not study, so I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying this as giving the mechanisms that we know. But for it to work, you would more than likely have to ensure that your estrogen is very, very in the natural the lower range, but more the natural range, and nowhere near the high range for this to work. Again, this is just an opinion that is likely to happen, and I feel like it does semi have this. Based off users reports and blood work, when we see people on a TRT dose and they're using a strong dose of an AI based off their blood work. But again, that's fully just a little theory, nothing that is concrete. So yeah, that basically sums it up. If you're wanting to run a cycle and wanting to prevent shutdown, I would start the Clomid before you start your anabolic steroid cycle, if it were me. And then depending on the ester or, the drug you use, you would want to calculate when you'd want to stop it after your steroid cycle. If you're using something like Test Prop or D-Bol, something that is going to clear very quickly versus something like Equipoise or Deca and androgen decanate, you're going to want to be on it for a lot longer. So that's something you're going to want to calculate. So yeah, this video should put to rest the whole the whole worry and the myth that no matter what you do, you're going to shut yourself down and there's nothing you can do, which is also a really big myth you see guys online where they say you have to wait so many weeks to start your PCT because it's not going to work while the drugs are active. Well, clearly this study shows that these drugs do work while the drug is active. It's just that you may not see immediate results, obviously, because one, you've already been shut down. Two, Clomid takes a very long time to work. It's a 6-day half-life. So yeah, it's it throws the whole myth out the window. And guys that are afraid to start cycling because of shutdown, there's no real worry. Just use Clomid. Start it before you start your cycle. If it were me. Yeah, and I'd, if you wanted to be extra safe, I'd keep my dosages more on the lower side. But again, knowing the mechanisms, how we know things work, and what I've used on clients myself with blood work, although I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. I've never had anybody do this running upwards of a gram of anything, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth there. But running dosages around 400 to 600 milligrams is what I would feel the most safest with knowing that this would work. So yeah, that's about it for the video, guys. Again, the article with the study links will be in the description at the bottom of the video, because I probably won't edit this, but I might. All right, guys. Guess that's it for now. Take care.